we're all eating really well in August. Hello fellow book nerds, this is Gabby and today I am telling you all of the new releases coming out in August, and I don't know why I said it weird like that. Anyway, we are talking August releases. So many books coming out. I didn't even fit all of them in the list. So many sequels that have been so highly anticipated by yours truly. And I'm away for all of August, so I can't even make content about any of it. Great. Okay, anyway, let's jump into the list. As per usual, in order of release, we have book number 1, which is The Many Daughters of Afong. I messed that up. The Many Daughters of Afong Moy by Jamie Ford. So this one's coming out on April 2nd, and it's a historical fantasy, and it's adult. And I thought it just sounded so intriguing. So intriguing. I don't know if it's my thing, but it sounded interesting, so I wanted to tell you about it. Dorothy Moy breaks her own heart for a living. As Washington's former poet laureate, that's how she describes channeling her dissociative episodes and mental health struggles into her art. But when her 5-year-old daughter exhibits similar behavior and begins remembering things from the lives of their ancestors, Dorothy believes that past has truly come to haunt her. Fearing that her child is destined to endure the same debilitating desperation that has marked her own life, Dorothy seeks radical help. Through an experimental treatment designed to mitigate inherited trauma, Dorothy intimately connects with past generations of women in her family. Fei Moy, a nurse in China serving with flying tigers, Zhou Moy, a student in England at a famous school with no rules, Lai King Moy, a girl quarantined in San Francisco during a plague epidemic, Greta Moy, a tech executive with a unique dating app, and Afong Moy, the first Chinese woman to set foot in America. As painful recollections affect her present life, Dorothy discovers that trauma isn't the only thing she inherited. A stranger who's loved her through all of her genetic memories. Dorothy endeavors to break the cycle of pain and abandonment, to finally find peace for her daughter, and gain the love that has been waiting, knowing she may pay the ultimate price. Doesn't that sound just so fascinating? Seriously. Book number 2 is The Women Could Fly by Megan Giddings. So this one's coming out on August 9th, and it's a fantasy/sci-fi horror. It was tagged as both, so I don't know. And it's adult and has LGBTQ+ characters. So the reason this one appealed to me is that it's by the author of Lakewood, which I thought was really disturbing, really good. So I'm excited to see what else they came up with. Josephine Thomas has heard every conceivable theory about her mother's disappearance. That she was kidnapped, murdered, that she took on a new identity to start a new family, that she was a witch. This is the most worrying charge because in a world where witches are real, peculiar behavior raises suspicions, and a woman, especially a black woman, can find herself on trial for witchcraft. But 14 years have passed since her mother's disappearance, and now Jo is finally ready to let go of the past. Yet her future is in doubt. The state mandates that all women must marry by the age of 30, or enroll in a registry that allows them to be monitored effectively forfeiting their autonomy. At 28, Jo is ambivalent about marriage. With her ability to control her life on the line, she feels as if she has never understood her mother more. When she's offered the opportunity to honor one last request from her mother's will, Jo leaves her regular life to feel connected to her one last time. Sounds really good. Actually, I'm very, very, very interesting. The author's other novel has so many so much commentary on medical field and how it exploits people of color, especially Black and Indigenous people. It was really, really, really powerful and really gross because it was a horror and very gruesome. I enjoyed it a lot, so I'm very excited for this new one. Next up, we have The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. So this one's coming out on August 16th, and it's an adult thriller. But the reason why I'm so bloody excited is that it's the offer of In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, which was my favorite thriller of last year. So I am super excited what else that offer came up with, and I'm so hopeful I won't be disappointed. While in college in upstate New York, Shay Evans and her best friends met a captivating man who seduced them with a web of lies about the way the world works, bringing them under his thrall. By senior year, Shay and her friend Laura were the only ones who managed to escape. Now, 8 years later, Shay's built a new life in Tawny, Texas suburb. But when she hears the horrifying news of Laura's death, delivered of all ways by her favorite true crime podcast Crusader, she begins to suspect that the past she thought she buried is very much alive, and the predators more dangerous than ever. Recruiting the help of the podcast host, Shay goes back to the place she vowed to never return to in search of answers. As she follows the threads of her friend's life, she pulled into the dark, seductive world where wealth and privilege shield brutal philosophies that feel all too familiar. When Shay's obsession with uncovering the truth becomes so consuming she can no longer separate her desire for justice from darker desires newly awakened, she must confront the depths of her own complicity and conditioning. But in a world built for men to rule it, both inside the cult and outside of it, is justice even possible? And if so, how far will Shay go to get it? Sounds very good. I love a good podcast. I love a good podcast inside a novel, and I'm excited that this offer is tackling true crime podcasts, because that's like a phenomenon and a half. So I'm very excited. Okay, next book is like, it's not a want, it's a need. And I'm so jealous of everyone with an arc, and you can all stuff it because you say it's amazing, and that just makes me more excited. Anyway, it's Babel, or The Necessity of Violence, an arcane history of the Oxford Translators' Revolution by R.F. Kuang. So I say Babel, but I feel like I've heard it said differently, and I think that's the right way. It's like Babel, I think. I don't like it, but Babel. So this is coming out on August 23rd, and it's a historical fantasy, which is an adult fantasy, and it's by the author of The Poppy War, of course. I'm excited. 1828. Robin Swift, orphaned by cholera in Canton, is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There, he trains for years in Latin, Ancient Greek, and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. Babel is the world's center of translation and, more importantly, of silver working, the art of manifesting the meaning lost in translation through enhanced silver bars to magical effect. Silver working has made the British Empire unparalleled in power, and Babel's research in foreign languages serves the Empire's quest to colonize everything it encounters. Oxford, the city of dreaming spires, is a fairy tale for Robin, a utopia dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge. But knowledge serves power, and for Robin, a Chinese boy raised in Britain, serving Babel inevitably means betraying his motherland. As his studies progress, Robin finds himself caught between Babel and the shadowy Hermes Society, an organization dedicated to sabotaging the silver working that supports imperial expansion. When Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, Robin must decide. Can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does revolution always require violence? What is he willing to sacrifice to bring Babel down? Girl. Next up, we have another exciting one. So it's A Venom Dark and Sweet by Judy Lynn. So this is the sequel to Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Lynn. And this one's coming out on August 23rd, and it's a YA fantasy. And it's a conclusion to the Book of Tea duology. So in this one, we follow a girl who wants to become a royal tea brewer. Tea brewing has magical properties, so she goes to this tournament to win this position. And Also, when she was young, she poisoned her mother by mistake and also made her sister really sick. And she's hoping to find a cure for the sister. I love this one, so I'm not going to tell you what the sequel is about, so you can read this one and not be spoiled. But oh my god, I've been dying to read this book. And you know what pisses me off is that the sequel is coming out August 23rd, right? The first book in the UK is coming out in September. Who thought that was a good idea? I want to talk to them. Anyway, I managed to read the ebook on Amazon.com. I bought it there instead of UK, a little tip for you. And I bought this while I was in New York, and now I need the sequel yesterday. Next book is very interesting. So it's Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this was coming out on August 30th, and it's an adult historical fiction, and it's by the author of Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six, and Malibu Rising, which I've not read. But anyway, this is her new book. Carrie Soto is fierce, and her determination to win at any cost has not made her popular. But by the time she retires from tennis, she is the best player the world has ever seen. She has shattered every record, claimed 20 Grand Slam titles, and if you ask Carrie, she is entitled to every one. She sacrificed nearly everything to become the best, with her father, Javier, as her coach. A former champion himself, Javier has trained her since the age of 2. But 6 years after her retirement, Carrie finds herself sitting in the stands of the 1994 US Open, watching her record be taken from her by a brutal, stunning player named Nikki Chan. At 37 years old, Carrie makes the monumental decision to come out of retirement and be coached by her father for one last year in an attempt to claim her record. Even if the sports media says that they never liked the battle axe anyway. Even if her body doesn't move as it did. And even if it means swallowing her pride to train with a man she once almost opened her heart to, Bo Huntley. Like her, he has something to prove before he gives up the game forever. This a little bit reminds me of the movie Wimbledon. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, but it's with Vision, the actor that plays Vision, and it's about an older tennis player who decides to play one last time at Wimbledon. It's really good. My boyfriend used to work at Wimbledon as a ball boy, so I feel like Wimbledon is fun, and I've gone to see tennis match as well there one time, which was really fun. And now what happens now? Yes, and now that this book reminds me of that, so I'm very excited to read it. I think it's really fun that she decided to tackle a profession that's not in the entertainment industry, because I thought this retired person was going to be a singer. So I think this is fun. Alright, next book is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, and this one's coming out on August 30th, and it's an adult thriller, and I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and I thought it was just okay, but I read His and Hers by her, and I thought that was really, really good. So this is why I'm excited about this new thriller from her. After years of avoiding each other, Daisy Darker's entire family is assembling for Nana's 80th birthday party in Nana's crumbling Gothic house on a tiny tidal island. Finally back together one last time, when the tide comes in, they will be cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. The family arrives, each of them harboring secrets. Then the stroke of midnight, a storm rages, Nana is found dead, and 1 hour later the next family member follows. Trapped on an island where someone is killing them one by one, the Darkers must reckon with their present mystery as well as their past secrets, before the tide comes in and all is revealed. As someone said, that it's inspired by One by One, by Agatha Christie. So that makes total sense, and I really like that book, so I'm excited. Okay, next up we have Belladonna by Adalyn Grace. So this was coming on August 30th, and it's a YA Gothic fantasy, and the cover looks really cool. And this is the synopsis. Orphaned as a baby, 19-year-old Signa has been raised by a string of guardians, each more interested in her wealth than her well-being, and each has met an untimely end. Her remaining relatives are elusive Hoffers, an eccentric family living at Thorn Grove, an estate both glittering and gloomy. Its patriarch mourns his late wife through wild parties, while his son grapples for control of the family's waning reputation, and his daughter suffers from a mysterious illness. But when her mother's restless spirit appears, claiming she was poisoned, Signa realizes that the family she depends on could be in grave danger and enlists the help of a surly stable boy to hunt down the killer. However, Signa's best chance of uncovering the murder is an alliance with Death himself, a fascinating, dangerous shadow who has never been far from her side. Though he's made her life a living hell, Death shows Signa that their growing connection may be more powerful and more irresistible than she ever dared imagine. I love a good gothic, so that's why it's here, and I really hope it's good. Next up, we have another sequel. So this one's called All of Our Demise by Amanda Foody and Lynn Herman. It's coming out August 30th in Hawaii dystopia, and it's the conclusion to the duology which started with All of Us Villains. And I'm so disappointed because the second cover is nowhere near as striking as this, but oh well. So let me tell you what this one's about because this is a sequel. But yeah, so All of Us Villains, we follow a small town which was cursed. One family kind of wins control of the town, and every like 20 years or something, they have this tournament where they fight to the death, and the family that wins the town basically. And this year we follow a bunch of contestants who are fighting for their families because each family has to nominate a tribute. And it's very Hunger Game-ish, except there's magic and you have these magical rings. It's like the magic system is pretty cool. I enjoyed this. I thought it could have improved. Like, I love Amanda Foody so much, so this was a little disappointing. But I'm still looking forward to the sequel. I'm gonna get it to have the beautiful cover supplemented, and so I can have Amanda Foody's books because I'm obsessed with her. And lastly, we have The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim, which is also coming out on August 30th. So August 30th, my bank account is gonna take a hit. But it's also YA fantasy, and that one is the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes, which I've been shouting from the rooftops, saying how obsessed I am, just like constantly telling you. So hopefully I don't need to tell you how excited I am. But in this one, we follow a girl who has 6 brothers and is a princess, daughter to the emperor, and she gets cursed, and her brother, I was like, what's this book about? For how obsessed I am. She gets cursed. She can't utter a word, otherwise her 6 brothers, who have been turned into cranes, will die. Cranes. I don't know what I said. Anyway, it's amazing. Read it. Oh, okay, sitting like this is hurting my legs, so I'm gonna go now. But I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know which book you're most excited about. I can't even choose. No, Babel, whatever, and the sequels. Probably Six Crimson Cranes sequel, because I just read it in A Magic Slipped in Gold, so it doesn't feel as dire. August's gonna be amazing. Let's get ready for it. Okay, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you could comment, like, and subscribe, I really, really appreciate it. It really helps me out. But that's it from me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!